Kristie. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you,
We
Chris.
discussed core values and what it's like to be an entrepreneur in Philly. Can you just tell me a little bit about yourself, your background, how you ended up in Philly, how you ended up helping people find homes?
Wow, that's a long story. I hope you're ready. So I started actually as a creator. I'll say that I started at Temple University with an art background. That was really just to graduate college because back in the 90s, that's what you had to do. And I still think it's important to do, but that was my mainstream to get through life. And then while I was in school, I still had to work full time towards the end because back then we didn't have healthcare coverage through our parents, and I was about to be dropped. And so I started working in the mental health field and also retail space is something I've been in since I was actually 13. So I had a lot of experience and went back and forth between mental health and figuring out if I wanted to be an art therapist and help people through art, or if there was some other space for me. And to be truth be told, the other space was back to retail. It's kind of it's in you. Once it's in you for a very long time. And I went back to working in retail space for the next 15 years. And that space put me into the commercial real estate space, which was really cool. I was running 2.5 million square feet throughout the country, Puerto Rico and Canada, for facilities and maintenance. So I maintained all those stores, new store openings, and relocations. So that was a lot of fun, a lot of great experience that I was able to get out of that through just the life of the way that led, a couple job changes, etc. But that to me is really what created my foundation for what was going to be my next step. So when I turned 30, I made a decision to either buy a home with my down payment money or to start my own business. And I started my own business instead. We called it 𝐏𝐲𝐬𝐜 Consulting. I'm incorporated as an S Corp with that. And it started off as something to be helping small retailers in Philadelphia. Supply chain costs, maintenance, understanding that, your light bulbs, look at all of your fabulous lighting here. It makes such a difference, right? Well, same thing when you're selling clothes or gadgets or what have you, it has to be well lit. Well, people would be like, but I can't afford that light bulb. And this is Costco really taking off, definitely pre-Amazon, being delivered to your doorstep, so to speak, and the price points being wonderful. So I started just working back in operations to help people really operate their business more successfully. And then that became can you stay on, but can you bring me more business? And then I said, well, that would kind of be marketing. That would be a little bit of, something fun. What's fun in getting people in the door, no matter what that door is? It's a party. So I started event planning, and that was my marketing tool for my clients, my small businesses, to help them draw attention to their market space, whether it was a storefront, whether it was office furniture people who wanted to get in front of large corporations or builders or architects and designers. We created parties that people wanted to attend, and that's what I did for the next about 4 to 5 years before our Great Depression of our time. And that became and morphed into 𝐏𝐲𝐬𝐜 Experience, which I am still today, because that's what people know me as. I'm an experience. As you can see with this eyeball, people look at the eye. We'll get to that. But anyway, I have a lot of energy. I was having a great time doing it. And then, like I said, 2008 started to really kill businesses, not just small, large, everybody. And I morphed again into developing Philadelphia Fashion Week. And it became an international fashion week, 3 and 4 day event. We incorporated the Girl Scouts, the high school kids, to be able to come and try to show off what they can create with fashion. There's actually a badge that says fashion and stuff like that. There's a couple actually badges around that, but we also worked with the colleges as well, since we have a lot of wonderful fashion design schools here in the area, and that included Delaware as well. So that lasted for about 2 years. It was about 3.5 years of developing. And then again, a good old economy and people doing things the way they wanted to do it, my partners and I decided to let other people do it. And I went back into marketing in a different way. I was hired by a multifamily REIT, is what it's called, a real estate investment trust, that asked me to come in and help them market their properties they just purchased out of the bankruptcies from the big crash. And so my job was to get them back up to market rate and work with project managers, which I obviously knew because I was a project manager, how to create those timelines and the space to allow the leasing team to do their job and the apartments to be filled. And this was nationally. So I was back on national ground, which is like I was with my retailers, my retail days. I was all over the country. Canada and Puerto Rico, but mostly the country. And so I was great at doing this again for the apartments. It's an extremely similar space. But the biggest thing that I realized is that while I was going through all of this, I purchased my first home by myself. And then I found an opportunity to purchase a second home, which as an investment property in Brewery Town, near us. And the negotiating process and the conversation process had to go through a friend of mine who was my realtor at the time. And I still got a great deal and it was wonderful, but my dad sat there and said, "You love real estate so much. Why don't you get your license?" And I said, "Absolutely not. I am very, very, very bad at taking tests. I'm not going to pass. I'm not going to do this." And she worked very hard for that money. It was not even $2,000, I don't think she got. So I said, "No way." He goes, "Yes, I really think you should. You know it so well, inside and out, etc." And I said, "Okay." So I did start taking my tests, but what I realized through that process was that I have loved real estate since I was 6 years old or even younger. I remember going to the diner before Game Boys and anything else of technology and asking for the real estate magazine up on top of the counter, and I couldn't reach it. And I sat there and I ran comps on our house in Montgomeryville. I'm like, "Isn't this the house on County Line Road? Isn't this house? Does that mean our house is worth this much?" That's running comps that I still do today. So it was obvious that it was in my blood, and probably why I stayed with retail for as long, and then why the transition into being, marketing, head of marketing for multifamily industry really worked out really well for me. So, and here I am, full-time, 6 years later. I had my best year ever in my entire career financially, but also in real estate. So I think I did it. And don't forget that I definitely had that first year I have never worked as hard as I did for $40,000, which is what the average realtor makes in the United States in 1 year. That's really low. Everyone thinks we're just millionaires. And the other thing is that I sat there thinking, "Oh my gosh, I did it wrong again. How did I do this again wrong? Like, it's not wrong, but why is it not being so successful?" Now I hit the success track, so I'm super excited.
Something clicked.
Something really clicked. And, in business, actually, since this is about being an entrepreneur, they tell you that it takes 5 years for the quote success, right? That's what we're saying, is that's where you are successful, your team is successful, your business is successful. That's when you expand, right? Well, when I think back, if this is my 6th year full time, it's not that I haven't been doing this for 20 years, but if this is my 6th year full time, and I'm now at that point where it's that shift has happened, that makes perfect sense to me as an entrepreneur. Because that's the timeline. That's how you get enough time. So forget about the 5,000 plus person database. Forget about being in business for 20 years and being known as KB Experience for the majority of that in Philadelphia. I do business all the way up to the Poconos and Blue Ridge Mountain. Okay, so I am everywhere. And one of the things I learned very, very early on, as a takeaway, hopefully, to your folks who are thinking about being an entrepreneur, is to always remember that even though you can be everything to a lot of people or a lot to a lot of people, they can't understand that. You have to be one thing really good that you attract the people that you want, and then you become the expert in that, and then you become the person that they go to for everything else, because it will just ooze out of you. So, and that's what I've learned, and it took me a while. It took me a while, but I believe
There's power in niche.
yes, there is, and I think I got really. I was very concerned about being too niche. I was very concerned because I had so much talent and so much opportunity and give. I'm a giver. That's my personality. I want to give, I want to take care of you, and I want to fix it. Those are my things. Those are who I am. And so when I know you are in need of something, and even though you don't think I'm the person who can fix it, 9 out of 10 times I am, or I know somebody who can. So I'm still giving, I'm still fixing, and I'm still there for you. So that was so struggling for me as an entrepreneur to be like, well, what do you mean I can't do everything for everyone? Why can't I present myself as the everything for everyone? Why not? And it's just the human nature. I don't think the brain can take in that much information on a daily basis or in a informational interview. So that's what I learned. And like I said, still learning, still trying to take it in.
Always still learning.
Yes.
I think those could be your core values. Giving, caring, and fixing it. It's kind of cool.
All right, so
tell me-
now we have 2 more to add to my 3.
Yes. Now we have 2. So you started out as a therapist to help people with music, and now you're helping people find homes to live in for potentially the rest of their lives. What is it that inspired you to want to help people so much with such like a big decision, such a big emotional decision?
I think the helping people comes from my mom. She too is a big giver and helper. She is a gerontologist by trade. She was a bereaved counselor, and I believe growing up around that type of person is probably what makes me who I am and helps to formulate that piece of me that wants to give and wants to help. So I think it's ingrained in me. I'm not falling far from the tree, as they say.
What was the way she interacted with people that you found inspiring?
I don't know that I would have used the word inspiring, because I think, like I said, I think it was more natural. It wasn't about an aha moment it was oh, wow, that's cool. So, for example, during one of her trainings, she would put me and my sister through her pre-training classes. And in gerontology, they tried to teach the caretaker what the geriatric person was potentially going through. So for cataracts, as an example, we would sit at home and Vaseline up cheapy sunglasses. And so we would wear them, and that if you put a pair of sunglasses on that are smothered in Vaseline, it is what it feels like to have cataracts. You can't see, you've got darkness, you have blurry vision, etc. And I think that compassion, is maybe the better word, the understanding, and that has now super translated. I have a handicapped client right now who it was really wonderful to have his girlfriend say to me, Kristie, we can't have carpet because he's wheelchair bound. And I go, okay, but it's a low pile. Remember, I'm a facilities person. I know pile. I know, and I have this background in medical. I know how to fix this. And she said, no, for him, it makes it feel like he's in quicksand. He can't get through it. Now, do you think that if I hadn't had that experience with my mom and all those other trainings that we would do, whether it's hearing loss, eyesight, mobility, what have you, do you think I would have had as much empathy and understanding under that circumstance? I don't know. I would hope so, but I don't know that people, when I'm out in the world, I don't think that people look at how lucky they are when they see somebody with any kind of handicap, whether it's someone blind, someone limping, someone in pain. Like I said, like you're sitting here looking at my black eye. I have a little bit of pain, but I am still so lucky that 5 other things when I fell didn't happen, right? I'm so lucky that I have all my my arms and my legs and everything works. And I just don't think people think about that as much as they should. So that's what it really goes into a home purchase or sale, because if someone's losing their home because of age and they no longer can be in their home, you have to have that understanding and that empathy to help them get through that time.
We talked a bit about this on our way in here. What is it like working with somebody who is they're just going through it? Like, how is it to serve someone who is just having a real tough health adversity? They're about to lose their home because they can't live in it anymore. What's it like interacting with somebody like that who they might be a little bitter even? How is it serving somebody who's just suffering so much like that?
I'm going through it right now. While we were sitting here, I just got a text that this person's spouse is really having a very hard time, and it's probably going to jeopardize an over $1 million deal. So how am I going to deal with it? You're asking me at an unbelievable time to ask me that, because I did address some of the issues that we went through and what I saw through the clean out yesterday of what could be facing us and how to address it. So I'm going to have to lean in to the situation and trust the spouse into how to move forward and make things feel less aggressive for this person, probably is the best word. Less kind. I mean, even though everybody on the team yesterday was helping with literally cleaning out and needing to just get rid of paperwork from like 1990 whatever, that's not even right. Everybody was so gracious. Everybody was so kind. Everybody was so sensitive to the situation. You couldn't ask for a better team. Now it's about that person. So we did everything right. We are probably pushing a little too fast for this individual. So my hope is that our call today will be, we're going to slow it down and take a step back and see what is best for us to do next. And that's my sense, that's my gut, and I think I really need to trust that. I know that people say, trust your gut all the time. I question my gut a lot, and I don't think I should as much as I do, but that's my hope. I should say it that way. That's my hope that will come out of this particular most immediate situation with a very agitated person, upset, probably angry, very sad. Sad because she even said to me yesterday, I plan on dying here. This is my home. And that's a horrible thing to think about, taking away from someone. I'm like, and I just looked at her and I just said, I think you're gonna have a really great new life and a new chapter that you should be really excited about.
You talk about gracious. How do you select your team? How do you inspire kind of the core values that you have to the people that your team you're telling me about that's helping kind of this awful move for this person? How do you inspire kind of that gracious energy in them, or is that something that they bring to the table that you found when you hired them? What's that like?
It's a combination of both. The company that I hired yesterday, I would love to be able to plug. Do you mind? It's called 𝐏𝐢𝐜𝐿, and they're veteran owned, and they give back to veterans. And most of the team that works there are retired veterans as well, military, or an association with military. And I think that this organization, by default of who they are, why they have served the country, and now that they're serving people, I think it just automatically puts really good people in that space. And they have been, again, the amount of hard working, they're strong and fast and efficient, and just, again, grateful to have them as a part of my team. That was number one. I think communicating with them too. Throughout the process yesterday, I noticed that I was able to take each of them individually away and just thank them for being kind, for being gentle, for hearing that there were 3 people in charge, and what needed to be, how things needed to be dealt with. And they all were like, of course. And they all had family experiences that they could draw from, or experiences, period, that they could draw from. And they all said, it's okay, we got you. And we've got them. And I just really appreciated hearing that. And the folks who are being hired throughout the process that I consider my team are people who've been with me in mostly friendship first and foremost, and then in business for well over a decade, if not two. So we've all grown up being entrepreneurs. We've all grown up learning, and we've all grown up being also really transparent with one another, even as raw and as hurtful as it may come across in the beginning. It's there to help one another. And so that's the kind of people I want to surround myself with and also work with as even my clients.
Tell me a little bit more about transparency and what that means to you. So you're selling a home to someone, and maybe there's some details that, I could kind of sugarcoat that a little bit, but no, you approach things kind of bold. You just get things out of the way nice and early. What's that like? What does transparency mean to you when interacting with a client?
Yeah, so I think when we first met, I'd just gotten back from my vacation, right, from New Zealand. And while I was away for about 3 weeks, I interviewed with quite a few people for listings. I lost a few listings while I was away, and I was surprised by one especially. But it is the transparency that I am, and what that looked like was, you're not going to get a house because you want to move to the suburbs, and it's going to be doggy. What you want does exist, but it may not exist for how much you have to spend, and we might have to wait. And I can't sell your condo the way that it looks because you have too much stuff in here. And I just sold this condo in last year, almost year to date, and you're going to be lucky if you get this much money because of the industry and what's going on. So here are my suggestions. Now, I might have said it a little nicer than that, but not really. At the end of the day, it was that transparent. I said exactly what I just said to you. I said it in a way that was probably a lot nicer and caring, but at the end of the day, I'm certain that's what they heard. And not only have they not listed the condo yet, which they're missing a great market to do so, they also did choose supposedly somebody else, which we always fight at usually there's usually 3 of us being interviewed, and they usually always have one person in mind already and that they're going to go with. So they just want to make sure they're going with the right person. And it's emotional, right? So that's the transparency. And talking with another agent, I said to him, I go, so how many deals lately have you been losing? And he's like, more than usual. And I go, I know, me too. And I go, what do you think it is? And he said the same thing. I think we're just too honest. We're too transparent. We lay it out, and whatever you want to take as far as information is concerned or what have you, you take away with it what you want. But I'm here to work for you, and I'm here to set expectations. And I'd rather have a lower expectation and knock it out of the park. But I'm not doing that on purpose. I'm just doing it because this is what I've seen.
I bet that builds a lot of trust with your clients.
Overall, yes. Once they hire me, of course. But if I don't scare them off, isn't that what you just heard? So, yeah, of course it does. Yeah.
What I've kind of learned in my career is that people do have a knack for finding out the truth, even if they don't seem like the kind of person who would find out the truth.
Yeah.
Like maybe, seems like they have a lot going on. They're a little scattered, a little disorganized, and you're like, but you just tell them the truth, and they're like, they will trust you. Like they can tell. Some of the people that you might not expect to be good people readers can read you better than anyone.
Yeah.
And yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
So, Kristie, tell me what it's like. You're this entrepreneur, you're this businesswoman, you're closing 7-digit deals, and then you're talking about how the drapes have to go, and this person is like, no, I need my cabinets to be that color, and like such a small, minute detail. How are you bridging that gap? How are you making the jump? Like, keeping your mind on the big picture, the sale, also while caring about this person's small detail from their life?
So how do I do it, or I'm sorry. What is the real question there? It's like
I apologize if that was a vague
No,
question.
no, it was really good. I just don't know where to hit it.
Like what it's like having the big picture here and then having to jump between those two tasks, that of the big sale, the logistics, the big number, the bank stuff, and then like a person who like really loves, you know, their carpet and like it can't go or something. And like, yeah.
I love it. So yesterday was a very busy day because I'm going to refer to it again. And this is something one of my business partners that I have helping me on rentals right now. He said to me, he said, I just got off the phone with my coach and I just said, I don't know how Kristie does it. She just is getting off $800,000 to $1 million deals and she still cares about this $1,200 rental. I'm like, yes, because people are people. People need homes. People have worked hard for their things, no matter what it is. And how do I do it? I think it goes back to what we talked about earlier. It's like you're an individual. I don't care how much money you have or you don't have. I want to know what you need, and I want to know if I can fulfill it. Period. End of discussions. And that just seems to fall into play for me. I think you're one of the things I think I jumped into your question by accident was I'm a big picture thinker. So rather than using the $1 million deal, why don't we talk about the big picture thinking process? You come to me with the deal, no matter what size, what it is, what condition, what location. I have several rentals right behind us right here in the studio. Okay, that says a lot. And I still have the $1 million deals. So when you're a big picture thinker, what happens is that here's the problem and my solution's already done. I am A to Z in 30 seconds, 9 out of 10 times. My brain just doesn't stop. I have to slow down for you, the client, because I already know how we're going to get to Z. I already know how we're going to get this done. But I need to, and I've been learning this, and back to an earlier conversation about always learning and always being educated and not dying on the vine because we are learning and working through things. That's where I feel that I need to continue to do, is because my brain has always been big picture thinking and easily getting to the bottom line. It's the steps, like you said, the carpet. It's the cabinet color. It's just being able to say, not a problem. We got you. Whether I'm going to paint it, I have a painter. I got it. I got a guy. That's what I always say. I got a guy. What do you need? We'll take care of it. Oh, great. We have the storage bin. We'll just put it in the storage bin. No problem. We'll take care of it. It's not going to go away. You're just not going to see it right now.
It's like that humility, I feel like, is what kind of leads to the empathy that you have for people, their feelings. It's an age-old issue where entrepreneurs, we do know what our clients want. Like there's this, like, we're experts in our field and we kind of know what they want, but they don't know that we know what they want, and they don't know what they want either. So it's being patient and like stepping through. It's like, I think I know exactly what you want, but we're going to wait and let you help you figure it out, come to that on your own. It's almost like a little therapy session. I feel like every business owner is a therapist at some point.
From your lips to God's ears, all we do is therapy. And that is what everyone says to me. My gosh, you're a counselor, you're a therapist, you're a shrink, you're all these things. I'm like, I just don't dish out the meds. I mean, does wine count? Because I'll give you a bottle of wine to help you out. Like, that's my go-to. But my thought process with that is that it's so interesting that you say that it goes back to transparency, education. That would be another one of, those are my whys, I think, more than core value. Like, why do I do what I do? Is because I love to educate. I have no tolerance to be a teacher. My sister is, and God bless her for putting up with kids today at all, ever. That's just not me, but I do like to educate, and I do like to bring people to the water, telling them that it's cold or the temperature that they want, and letting them decide if they want to drink the water. So a call just recently was about, a seller's disclosure. And let me just quickly tell you what that is. When you sell a home, you in Pennsylvania have a form to fill out that's called the seller's disclosure. What people don't understand are 3 major points. Number 1, it is a courtesy. It is a courtesy that the seller is doing for the buyer. Number 2, it is not mandatory. And number 3, they are not experts. It even says it on the seller's disclosure. Are you a contractor? Are you an engineer? Like, are you an expert in any of these industries? And you usually check off no. So when you were asking about truth and transparency, sometimes these sellers' disclosures are so transparent. And that's what happened on this call. And what we were able to come out of the conversation is I said, wow, not because I was upset that it was on there. It was that it was like a dangling sentence. It just wasn't finished. They didn't complete the thought process. And it had something to do with mold. And that is a big red flag, right, in this industry. But here's the kicker. It was from their inspection in 2021. It's 25, 4 years later, almost to the date. And they never said what they did or didn't do. It was non-inclusive or conclusive. And my clients were just like, I don't know, I can't get around this. I'm like, we know it's an older home. We know this, we know that. And all of a sudden, we found another home that popped up, brand new construction. And I said, here's the seller's disclosure. We're on the phone. I shoot it over to them. And I said, what do you think of this? They're like, oh, wow, this is great. And it's got a lot of information, but not too much. I think we should see this. And I said, guys, seller's disclosures sounds to me like too much information is making it harder for you to feel comfortable, to feel safe, and you'd rather just figure it out on your own, or you need more answers, which means when I'm telling you to walk away from inspections right now in this industry, you're not going to. Is that correct?
And you know that those newer homes that are flying up, mold.
Yep.
And then older homes, like mold, different
levels. Oh, yeah. And the fact is that the mold was in the attic. I go, what does mold get into an attic? I mean, that's a dry air flowing. Like, I was like, this is just an inspector who just went overzealous and saw something and said something. Like, but from 2021. I mean, let's be honest. So, yeah, it was really interesting to your point. It's like you go through it with them with the education and you just say, but they're educating me. You have to remember that. I have to listen to hear them. So I'm counseling them through the process, educating them through the process, but they've got to give me the feedback. And if I'm not asking open-ended questions that they have to answer, I'm never going to learn how. They'll never educate me on what's really making them feel not good, not safe, not able to move forward. And that was pretty cool too, to take away that information. It's like, wow, I'm really counseling you through what we think is our house, our deal, until there's another one that comes in and it's like, wait, that might be better. And we figured out together through education what we really wanted to do and how to approach. So that's cool.
I feel like in your industry, there's a lot of developers who have a burn it all down and build it up from scratch mentality. That's their
yeah.
It sounds like you are coming from, your approach is a little more reformer. I'm here to fix it. I'm here to take your problem and I'm going to help you fix it, rather than we got to tear that down and build it from scratch. What does reform mean to you? What does helping somebody fix something mean to you?
Oh, it's all the way down from cleaning out a garden so it looks pretty and curb appeal to getting you out of the house because you need to move on and we need to sell it. That's a fix, right? That's where my J-Dogs come into play. What do you really need? Put it in this corner. Everything else, let's get rid of it. Let's clean it up and get it ready to go onto the market. That's fixing, helping people see through their stuff, whatever that stuff is, personal, emotional, physical stuff. How are we going to get it done and what's it going to look like? That's my fixing.
Tell me a bit about your involvement in your community, helping out at the cemetery, doing some volunteer operations.
Yeah. So again, giver. Remember, I said I was a giver. So I fell in love with Laurel Hill Cemetery in college. I had a great professor. I had two as an art major. It was a fantastic two professors. But my printmaking gave us a field trip to Eastern State Penitentiary. And this is, again, 90s, I'm dating myself, but this is also prior to them really having the money that they have today to do a lot of restorations. So we were able to get into the chapel because he knew someone. And this was before any restorations were done. And there was these like beautiful murals and just really cool stuff that was going on. And it was an architectural find because of that's the first prison system that had the spokes. And I'm like, oh, that's really cool that this is the rotunda, so that people could be watched all from one station, each level. So that's pretty neat. So I'm like, okay. And because it's printmaking, what do you do with printmaking? You also have rubbings to help you like transfer information from whatever, whether it's a rock, whether it's a brick, but it also could be a headstone. And Laurel Hill Cemetery was just so gorgeous. And I went, I think, on my own first, and then I think I came back for a tour, and the history and the architecture there, and the people of Philadelphia that are there. It's just so cool. And the fact that they have two, Laurel Hill West and Laurel Hill East, but East is the one that we all know from, the Rocky. Adrian's buried there. And so I think it's Polly. Transformers blew up our macadam there, our street. They had to replace that. But General Grant's buried there, and his wife. And, he's a huge part of the North and, our Civil War experience. And we have a lot of generals there as well. And I'm also a member of the Union League of Philadelphia, which is founded by Abraham Lincoln. I do a lot of volunteer work there as well. And it was due to the Union distress and the war that was about to come and started. And that space has taught me so much about not only just Philadelphia, our history. We don't get a lot of that anymore in school, no matter what age we're in. We get very little, and I definitely was bored by it. For what it's worth, what little bit I did get, I was very bored. But now I have like these tangible items, like whether it's the headstone or whether it's Baldwin locomotive, which, we still have the last steam engine, coal engine actually in Franklin Institute. And he has one of the tallest and largest obelisks at Laurel Hill and off of Millionaires Row. And his top is so cool. It's a globe. It's a ball, and around it is a train track. And they said that his trains would have gone around the world 360 times, with the amount of times that they have been back and forth. So that's pretty neat stuff. And to just kind of pull that together back to the Union League, we have Grant, we have Union League founders that are buried there, and just the synergy. And this is so Philadelphia. Someone too, like yourself, from the suburbs like I am, we don't realize growing up, because we feel like we're a small fish in a big tank, in the burbs, and spread out. And I think that's partly why. We feel that way, whereas Philadelphia is so big, but yet we're so close, and there's so much that really does intertwine the things we do daily and the spaces that we visit or see or drive by daily, that I just love that synergy between all of Philadelphia. So
Kristie, it sounds like as you're volunteering in your community, as you're selling homes, you're helping serve people. There's this atmosphere of fun anytime you're bringing these stories to me today with you and your team and your clients. What does fun mean to you, and like why do you pursue that energy?
Well, because I think I think life gets really hard, and I think life is hard. I think that if you're not having fun, it makes it a heck of a lot harder. And I think that for me, if I'm not having fun in what I'm doing, I need to get out. It becomes a job. It becomes a hardship. It becomes not fun. And I think that, yes, while life is short, I think you do have to have fun. I have a hard enough time being me, trying to find space for me, because I am such a giver, and slowing down and giving back to myself to be so much energy to so many people and be so many things to so many people. I don't do that enough, that if I'm not having fun doing that also, I'm literally killing myself. So that is something that's really, really important to me. And I want that to happen as like as a receipt from my folks too. If they're not having fun, then we're probably both not having fun. And we don't want that to go into a negative way and direction, which becomes mean, hurtful, and inappropriate. And typically, unfortunately, that happens to not just directly to me, and I can take a lot. This is a very thick skin, even though it doesn't look like it right now. The reality is if my people are hurt by or are damaged in any way, shape, or form by words, by intentions, by not being there and not being nice and not being good, then I'm done. I can't do this anymore. I don't want to do it with you anymore. And if I'm also feeling that way about what I'm surrounded by, I'm not even volunteering wise. If I'm not having fun, I'm not feeling that I'm giving back anymore, I'm out. So that's how I define fun. I have to have it to keep this energy level up, like you indicated. So I love having fun. I love and whatever that can look like. I'm some of the easiest laid back people that you can imagine. And that might be a detriment to my job because people don't think I'm, answering the phone fast enough or doing something enough that creates them to feel like I'm there, but I'm there. I'm all in it, and I have no problem being all in it 24/7 if need be, but I've learned how to slow it down so I'm still smelling the roses and still having fun.
People do business with those they know, they like, and they trust.
Mm-hmm. That's so true. I live by that. I really do. That's why I think it hurts so much when I don't get those deals, because I want to be liked, I want to be trusted, and I definitely bring the knowledge to the table. So that's where those downfalls, and why we have to have such thick skin and why you don't really follow up with an email saying, why not me? You don't do that to yourself. I've had lots of conversations in the last few weeks about that, and it's just too hard because like I said earlier, they probably already made their decision with someone they know, with somebody at that point that they trusted and that they liked.
And that shouldn't feel like a rejection. That shouldn't be a rejection. Well, it might feel like a rejection, but that shouldn't be taken as a rejection. That should just be taken as a lack of availability,
Right, exactly. And that's why back to learning, back to growing, back to all of those things that you feel that sometimes I feel like if you don't continue to feel that, you're not growing, you're not learning. So yes, it does feel like rejection, but thank you for saying it the way you did. I appreciate hearing it.
Well, there's that grace coming back. So cool, Kristie. Okay. Is there anything else you'd like to plug? Anyone else you'd like to shout out? You can promote your own business for a moment here.
Can I do my quick 30-second?
Oh yeah, bring it.
Okay, so Chris, as you know, you saw my fun postcard, and hopefully we'll be invited back again. I love to bring Carmela, my best showing agent. She's four-legged and would love to be a part of this podcast next time around. So hopefully we'll get an invitation back. But I am Kristie Bergey. I'm the 𝐏𝐲𝐬 Experience, and I work under Coldwell Banker as their associate broker. I help people from whether it's luxury listings, I'm certified with Coldwell Banker for luxury listings now, all the way down to rentals like we discussed. I do commercial as well, but something that's really interesting about commercial is we were talking about your fun space here. This is my commercial space. I like Main Street America, the small pop-ups, helping investors find if they were owners of businesses and still having 3 apartments above the building so that they can make money off of that. Those are my kinds of clients. As well as we talked about the hardship of when you have to leave your home, whether it's medical or age. And I am a senior specialist, a senior real estate specialist. So I help people with aging in place, which means they may need to move in order to, right, age in place. And Chris, while you and I are not the same age, which I would love to think I am your age, but I believe that a lot of those conversations have to happen with the kids, and the people who are there surrounded by their loved ones. And then you bring somebody like me in to talk directly with the parent. So those are really big spaces that I fit into, and I really enjoy. Buying and selling is my thing. But remember I said I didn't want to be everything to everyone, but it's just sounded like I did do that. But I figured this is a podcast that I can just say, hi, I'm your real estate specialist. I eat this for breakfast. I love this. I know this city inside and out. I'm an investor myself. I own 4 properties myself. And I'm here as an entrepreneur doing all this on my own. There's no trust fund. I did it. And I'm here to help people find success and find wealth in real estate if they want that help.